get to the bag, ayy. Got the foot on the gas, pedal to the metal when the lane moving fast, ayy. Let them all cross. If they hate, then let them hate and make a bigger boss, ayy.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? We are back. We are live. It's the Freight Coach Podcast, the top podcast in transportation, coming to you guys every single weekday, 8:30 a.m. Pacific, 10:30 Central, to break down some industry headlines. But most importantly, you guys provide some actual insight into what you can do with all of this information. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome. This is the real side of freight, ladies and gentlemen. And I do say that before every single show. And what I mean by that is I only speak with transportation professionals because at the end of the day, you guys, I want to talk to the right individuals who have done what you're looking to do or who are currently doing what you're trying to achieve. So you can take that information, apply it, utilize it, and see a meaningful difference in your business and your life. Happy Wednesday, everybody. I got a very special guest for you guys. I'm going to bring him up in just a second, but I do have just a quick announcement there. We dropped a Freight Coach newsletter this morning. It only drops once a week, and I will not automatically sign you up for it if I have your email address because I don't want to spam your inbox at the end of the day, you guys. If you want to get in on it, though, we just talk about transportation on there. I need you to go to my website, thefreightcoach.com. I should probably put that up there for you guys. Yeah, thefreightcoach.com. It'll auto prompt you to register for it. Again, it just drops once a week. But today's guest, you guys, we're going to be talking about quoting, automating it and everything, getting rates back faster to your customers, because this is the second question that I get outside of how do I find shippers. The second question is, how do I bid shippers? And we're going to talk about that and kind of tie that all together. So I have my good friend, Dan Hellmann, back on the show. Dan, thank you so much for taking the time to join me today.
Thanks for having me. I'm actually signing up for your newsletter right now. I didn't know you had one, man.
Yeah, I only mentioned it on the show, Dan, and I practice what I preach. I don't just auto sign people up for it because I kind of get annoyed every time that happens to me. So, and especially if I don't want it. And I just think that, at the end of the day, I just enjoy earning people's downloads and, subscriptions and all that stuff. It's the same strategy that we followed on the podcast, and that's been working out quite all right for us. So.
It's a beauty. Provide some value and bring them in.
Dude,
I know when you get auto sign up for newsletters, it just kills it. I mean, it's just then all of a sudden just becomes spam and I just delete them automatically.
Yeah. And I like seeing 0 people unsubscribe to it, right? So it's like we use MailChimp for our newsletter, and they send analytics all the time, right? So I like seeing that the subscriptions keep going up and nobody is unsubscribing to the newsletter, right? So to me, it's exactly how I like to see it out there. And, again, man, I just want to add value to the industry, right? Like, I don't want to partake in any of the stuff you see out there on social media these days. Like, I'm just going to stay the trajectory and the plan that we've been on for the last 5 years. How do we just continue to create a conglomerate of value education for the transportation industry that, like I say before every single show, man, people can apply this to their business. They can earn more business, earn more money and all of that. And that's just where I'm going to stay with it.
Beauty. Love it.
Dude, absolutely, man. So speaking of loving things, man, you guys got some new stuff that you're releasing out here to the public in regards to, RFPs and everything, right?
Yeah. So we just released, 3 weeks ago about our RFP module for automating bid packages.
Okay.
And so now that was kind of the one thing we felt like was missing within Tabby, to be like a rate management system. You got to have all rates and lanes in there.
Yeah.
And yeah, so we're pumped. So we have 3 phases. Phase 1 is now live. It's part of our standard platform. To automate bid packages, apply some more advanced logic to it and kind of just speed up that whole process. So now you can finish a 2,000 lane bid in a few minutes.
So what, when it comes down to it, man, with RFPs, what's the thing that you think most people miss in like going out there and bidding on freight at that level, right?
I think the biggest things that, and I'm going back to like when I was a broker and remember like doing RFPs is mind numbing as a broker. I feel like unless you got a system or a pricing team or something like that, it consists of all nighters and like 2 6-packs of beer and blaring some music. I mean, it's just mind numbing. The biggest thing I always ran into was the storing of them, the looking back at what works, what didn't work, kind of that feedback loop from previous bids you did, and having it all sit on each individual broker's computer with 37 different versions and not bringing all the data together and having the analytics of feedback of what works, what doesn't. And so it's like going to each bid as if it's the first time you did it.
I think that, dude, when it comes down to RFPs, like we filled one out for our customer like 2 years ago, and they just have not rebid anything. They're like, hey, our rates are good, everything's good. There's no need. But to me, it's more of like I'm as we grow and like our freight volume grows out there, Dan, I'm really trying to like study our analytics on like what are we paying into certain regions out there? Does the rate actually change? Because like from my perspective, man, rates are not as volatile as people kind of like to paint out there, especially going into like specific regions and stuff like that. And, to me, it's like, how do I dial this in to where it's like I'm able to send a consistent price out to my customer 12 months out of the year? Yes, there's going to be times where we lose a little bit of money on it or break even or our margin's smaller than others. But like, how do I deliver that consistency out there so where our customers know exactly what we're going to charge them? And, for me, it's like, I also like to see our win rate, right? Like, what are we winning at? How do we need to tailor it? Are we really off by that much? And then I also, because again, like going out there in the market and stuff like that, it's like, how competitive are we to others? And then most importantly, how fast are we in getting prices? Because I still think to this day, this is going to be more of spot market compared to RFP, but like the faster you can get a rate back to a customer, the higher the likelihood you're going to win that one. I have plenty of internal data to really back that up. But to me, it's like, I want to study this stuff and then go out there and like paint that picture, because I feel like with one customer, as long as the freight type and everything is very aligned, you can go and sell that out there to any of your prospects. And that's where like the real value lies, where it's like you can paint that picture, because everybody likes to say we have trucks in the area, as opposed to, hey, we have 6 flatbeds with 4-foot tarps, edge protectors in this area these days of the week. These are the rates that we need going to these specific regions out there. It doesn't matter if it's going to Logan, Utah, Provo, Utah, wherever. This is the exact same price that we're going to charge you. That to me is like where all the secret sauce really lies.
You're so spot on. I mean, the days of marketing and selling that you have 70,000 carriers under contract, that you service all lower 48, we can do it all. What's your volume? I can do it. Those days are gone, because every single broker can do that. I mean, that's you're saying the same pitch over and over again, but coming with actual data and actual details that, like you said, these trucks with this size tarps on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, I'm currently doing 12 of them a day right now. I have capacity to take on 4 more loads a day for that. Or bringing details into, I can do 5 loads a day out of this location because I'm sending trucks from here and here and here. Like actually bringing some analytics and data to show that it truly is a network and not give me a load of stuff.
No, absolutely, man. And this is stuff that drivers, owner ops, and fleets, I mean, especially the larger fleets, I would assume this is how they're out there selling their capacity, but this is all completely transferable into if you own you're an owner operator, you have 5 trucks in your fleet or whatever that looks like. That's how you go out there and really develop business. And again, I know somebody out there can say, oh, I never had to do that. We just got access to all their freight right away. But like literally every customer I've ever onboarded in the entirety of my career, you start with minimal freight at the beginning. Like your exposure to their overall outbound freight is minimal. And for me, it's like, dude, it took us 2 years of moving freight with somebody before they're like, hey, we want you to take on everything. Like you've proven it. Wow, we had a shakeup with one of your competitors. They're gone. We want you to take on everything. But here's the caveat. They said, do you feel comfortable taking on everything? And they wanted to know, because like we've just been honest with them as we come. And then as I'm developing business, Dan, with a customer, I'll let them know. If they're like, hey, do you have a truck for this? I'll be like, this is a new lane for us. Let me work on it for a little bit. And if we can't find a tangible option for them, I'm not rolling the dice, because the difference between the freight market today in developing business and pre-COVID, like you literally have one shot, man. If you drop the ball early on with a customer and you haven't earned any trust, you're done.
Yeah, 100%. Like I remember back when I was a broker, it was a large cradle to grave shop I was working at. And, you fill out bids nonstop. And I remember one bid, I won a whole bunch of business. And the first thing that went to my mind was, shit, I screwed this up so bad. Because it's like, that doesn't happen. And lo and behold, I did screw it up. Like my rates were way too low. And so you have to do the backpedal, try and navigate what to give back, what no, and how to finagle all that. When you get a whole bunch right away, at least especially back in the day, it's usually you screwed something up possibly. Now it's a little different, especially based on the company and what you're putting into it and the value add, all of that. But if it's like there's not a relationship there and it's just a rate driven thing, you probably screwed something up.
Yeah. And, Dan, we've both worked for larger shops back in the day, and I don't have the luxury of brand recognition out there when I'm developing business, nor do I have the luxury of falling back on the stability of a proven track record of said brand on how we might perform out there in the market, right? So it's like we're out there and we're trying to build it right from the first time, and it's impossible. We mess up, we make our mistakes, we own our mistakes, but we're out there trying to set that tone right away. Hey, here's how we operate. This is how we're going to perform for you. And it takes a long time to build something up, and it takes you a second to lose it all when you go out there and you overpromise and underdeliver. And it's the same thing like when markets fluctuate. And I know there's a lot of people in this industry right now that have never seen a carrier market. So they're like, oh, it's easy to cover freight. What are you talking about? This is the easiest job ever. But when it comes down to it, man, and you are in a position to where you are just unknowingly bidding on freight for the sake of bidding on freight, and there is no coverage for it, there is no capacity, you put yourself in a very tough spot. And then again, you might have a perfect track record with a customer for 5 years, but if you botch one shipment, you're done. Yeah. Like you're done. They're going to start looking at your competitors. And that's all a guy like me who has experience and some of the other killers that we both know in this industry, that's all we need. I just need one shot. If a customer gives me one shot, your days are numbered as a competitor. That is the level of intensity, speed, communication that I am going to bring every single time to them.
Yeah. Yeah. And coming in, like, especially when you talk about like, you don't have the brand recognition as much, or, the marketing budget, all of that stuff. And that's where it's even more important, is to come in with something that differentiates you, your experience, the level of trust you build, the data, the coming in with details, not you got a load, I'll cover it kind of pitch. Yeah. Now, what's been a struggle in the past is I think majority of people listening out there would say like, yeah, you got to use data. Yeah, you got to bring something different. But it's like, how do you use it? How do you capture it? How do you store it? Because typically it's been so manual that it's just been virtually impossible.
Yeah. And dude, and that's the thing, right? Like for me, I'd mentioned in regards to spot market freight that speed kills. Like if you are not out there and you are not getting rates back to your customer, like legitimately within 2 to 3 minutes maximum, that load's already gone, and I have a lot of data internally that shows that, right? Because like we're on top of our stuff. Like when I'm doing this show, my business partner is watching our emails like a hawk. Like we are on everything. And, to me, it's like we've had this happen where they'll send out a load spot market. There's 4 other providers on there. I already have a rate to them within a minute and a half. I don't reply all. I'm one of those guys who notices that and I don't reply all, but there's others who do reply all, Dan, and they're 20 minutes after the fact. I already have the tender and they're like, oh, we're working on this right now. It's like, man, where's the urgency out there? Like with technology today, if you have the budget for it, there is no excuse that you cannot get a rate back to your customers within a minute.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%. And I remember back from being on the floor, I always love people that reply at all. Like, come on, man, pay attention to details. And then you get someone to be like, oh yeah, it's gonna be $1,200. Then someone replies all $1,195. Then someone replies all $1,190. It's like,
dude, that's the thing, man, is it's like, it's not the Price is Right out there. And, for me, it's, if your strategy is just to go as cheap as possible for as long as possible, it's a losing strategy in business, There's like
going to be someone cheaper. There's
always
going to be someone cheaper.
But what differentiates you at that point, right? Are you setting that tone early on with your customers that shows you are worth the additional money? Because I was just talking with Ken Adamo with DAT. He was on the show on Monday. And, again, people don't make money if the freight's sitting, right? Like if you quote your customer and you can't get it done, I don't know a manufacturer or a shipper in the United States of America who loves their freight sitting on their docks and not on their customer shelves selling, right? So it's like, to me, you can prove to them why you're worth $250, $300 more a shipment, and you can set that tone right away. Like that's got to be in your business development strategy when you're going out there and trying to build.
Yeah. And it's got to be part of the strategy, not just to your main contact, like the transportation manager. You got to work multi-thread different departments. You got to educate the finance team. Because a lot of times people on the finance side, they don't understand transportation. They just think a truck shows up. It's what it costs. It's like Expedia and it picks it up and delivers. That's all it is. That educating them on what the true cost is of late deliveries, of claims, of that, and why you're worth the extra $100, $200.
I think that there's a false sense of like people put revenue customers, they put them on a pedestal in, I think, the wrong way at times, in the assumption that they have it all figured out and that they're not actually looking for partners out there to keep them informed about what's going on. And, I've heard this time and time again throughout my career, and I'll summarize it like this. We're a manufacturer. We're not a transportation company. That's literally why we hire you, is so you can keep us up to date on things that are going on out there in the market. And, again, it's like, you just got to look at those little things, because those cost savings, you might quote more than everybody else, but those cost savings that you can deliver to them are by assessing their apps, their network as a whole, and being like, hey, you always ship out a partial on this day and this day. Have you guys ever thought about holding this ship date by one day and then putting this as a 1-pick 2-drop full truckload? It's going to save you on this and this, and network optimization and stuff like that. Like, you have to dissect that stuff. Yes, that comes in time, but at the end of the day, this is why they hire you. They don't hire you just to provide them rates, all right? Because anybody can do that. Anybody can find trucks out there. It's like, are you really helping them improve their operations? Because I view us in my company, Dan, we are a direct reflection of our customer to their customer. All right. We are the ones delivering to their customers every single time. So if they have a negative effect on, like, a viewpoint of my service, they might have a negative viewpoint on my customer, and then my customer is going to lose business from that, right? So again, it's like that's just a level of care and communication that we want to bring to the table every single time.
100%. A while back, it might have been like 6-9 months ago, I did like a webinar with John Rivers, a consultant in the industry. And we're kind of like QBRs, how to hold up. And just like, a lot of brokers do QBRs to customers, but they get so stagnant and boring, and it's about me and not about them. Of where it's like, all right, we deliver 98.7% on time. So does everybody else. These are your lanes. What else do you have? These are the claims, the issues you have, we're going to fix it. And not bringing like actual data, insights on network optimization, on round trip opportunities, or educating them on their volumes and the rising costs per lane and all of those things that people assume shippers have access to and know. They have no idea. Most don't. Even the advanced companies, I've met with a buddy of mine who is the head of financial analytics for an extremely large shipper. And he's like, we just started tracking that. Like, it's just, they just never did before, because there's never an important aspect for their finance team until COVID hit and rates went through the roof.
Mm-hmm. What's some of those things that when you guys are out there talking to your guys' customers, like, what are their customers looking for in regards to quoting in analytics and stuff like that? When you're bringing that up, man, like, what is something that like, there's that direct feedback, like, hey, we're utilizing you, we're utilizing Tabby, we're getting those rates back to them. This is what our customers are starting to realize that they didn't know that they needed.
Yeah. So I think that's a big point, important point you said. The customers didn't know they needed. So I would say our customers, the brokers, their shippers, they're not asking for stuff because they have no idea they need it, and not enough companies are educating them on it and show them they need it. But where we help educate our customer base to educate their customers and how to leverage data is heavily on that network optimization, how to open up opportunities on the quote level across their entire shipper network. Because right now, a lot of brokers look at load counts moved, revenue of the load moved, which is important operational, data points. but that doesn't show growth opportunities. Just because you're moving 20 loads a week for a shipper doesn't mean there's another 20 loads a week there. Or just because you're using 1 load a month doesn't mean there's a lot of growth there. You find that on the quote level of opportunities touching. And so it's educating a customer on what are their trends. You can now forecast some trends, and when they can educate them on when are expensive times going to start coming up. Why are rates increasing on exact lanes, on their high volume lanes? And even if you can go even a step further, if the shipper puts it in their quote request, they're like, what's their cost per case, cost per pallet? A lot of shippers do not track that.
Mm-hmm. It's like, why is that? Why do you think that it's almost 2026 at this point, right? Like, why is there still such a lack of data and analytics out there? Or why is there so much apprehension? Like, and I mean, it's kind of an open-ended question, Dan, but like I see it every time a new piece of freight tech comes to the market. There's always the natural dissenters who are like, oh, this is bullshit. This isn't going to work. There's no need for this. And it's like, is it though? Or do you just not see how a tool like this could be utilized to benefit your operation?
I think the dissenters in the industry, they get too focused on these one-offs. Well, I have one shipper that does this 1 load a week. That's this, this, and this, and is absurdly nuanced and doesn't fit the mold. The tech coming in the market, no matter what it is, it could be a digital freight matching platform. It could be, carrier sourcing. It could be rate automation. It could be all these different things. It's designed to take off the bulk, not the extremely, extremely nuanced. That is stuff still for the humans to do, and like the really ugly stuff. And so they get too focused on these one-offs and was trying to look for it not to work. And I think on the shipper side, I mean, I forget the exact number. I forget how many shippers are out there. There's some 120,000 shippers in the US. 1% are very advanced and analytically driven. The rest, generally speaking, are the person running the transportation department was a lot of times, they didn't go to supply chain management. They didn't get supply chain rate. They might have worked the dock and moved up. And so it's just not what they've experienced so far. Now, I think the shift we're starting to see is the younger generation getting more leadership that's been around, a little more data, a little more tech, and kind of embracing it more. So I think that's what's kind of helped pushing it and driving it. It's kind of like the changing the guards of leadership.
Yeah, I think that from my perspective, Dan, all freight's the same when it's legal, regardless of the mode. Like as soon as it gets over-dimensional, yes, that's where the nuance comes in at the end of the day. But it's like, whether, and you could break it down like this. Here's a perfect parallel, you guys. Refrigerated freight. There's like 3 classifications of it: fresh, frozen, temperature controlled, right? Same thing in the open deck. There's 3 classifications of it, essentially. You got flatbed step. That's the exact same trailer out there. Tarps, no tarps, edge protectors, no edge protectors, straps or chains. Like it's all plug and play out there. So anybody who sits there and thinks that their book of business is some special snowflake is like completely missing the mark on how transferable all this stuff is, and you brought up digital freight matching there, Dan. We are not that far off from that being a reality for like at least 50% of the dry van freight that's moved out there. Mm-hmm. Like it is going to come to a point, and your guys are going to see this. Every load that's moved out there between Dallas and Chicago, that all falls into a category of between 40 and 42,000 pounds. Always has 26 pallets, first come, first serve. That shit can be automated, and it will be automated. And then the tech savvy brokers and carriers out there are going to have rates, and it doesn't matter if that shipper moves that once in a month, once in a week, or 100 times in a week. You're going to have an automated rating system in there that is going to spit them rates, and there's going to be an interface where they're just going to say accept, send, and that is all going to be digitized, you guys. It is happening in front of you, and if you can't see that, that is a major roadblock that you need to overcome, because Convoy, Uber, all of those early, I would call them pioneers of the digital freight matching space. They might have just been too early to the game, you guys. Someone's going to perfect that, dial that in, and they are going to clean house with freight. They really are.
And that's what you're going to see. Like it's never. The human's never going to be completely eliminated. Like I don't get the data's too messy. There's too many hands in the mix. But what you're going to see is like the last figure I kind of seen is like, all right, the average revenue per head for brokerage is anywhere between like $1.5 million to $2 million per head on average.
Yeah,
you're going to start seeing that grow to $8 million a head.
Fuck yeah!
Just because of pure efficiency, the transactional cost per load is going to start declining rapidly. And so it's just seeing like more people do a lot more and getting that easy stuff touchless and not having to deal with it and just managing those exceptions. That's where the industry's going.
100%, man. And that is literally on our roadmap inside of my operation. How do we increase our revenue head per our seat to that like max level? Because I want to see, man, how much can we automate? Because like I literally think 95% of my day can and should be automated as a freight broker. Like it literally should. The 5% of my day that can never be automated is me cold calling, me trying to go out there and reach out to customers, earn more business. Same thing when a carrier talks to, like, again, I don't want to do that. I've heard some very compelling arguments on how you can do that. And I get that. I just am going to choose to not do that because I want them to know that comfort level, right? It's just like when you walk onto an airplane. It's on autopilot, man, but I'm not stepping foot on that motherfucker if there isn't two pilots in the cockpit. All right. And it's just that comfort level. And that's where I think that we're not at yet. But I think that a lot of the companies out there, and dude, and I just broke down an article about UPS yesterday and trying to get rid of all their drivers and all of their Teamsters members that are out there, man, because they're looking to increase automation to reduce their overhead. And I think like there's a lot of companies out there that are going to do that. I'm taking the stance, and I've said this for years now, I am going to automate everything I can. So when I need to hire people, I'm hiring the right 5, not hiring 20 and hoping that 5 make it. And then it's arming them with the right technology. And again, here's the other caveat, guys. My company will never have cap commissions. So I want to automate it to my people can make a fuckload of money out there because I'm a capitalist. I want my people to make a lot of money too. Yeah.
And it's like having humans focus on human tasks. But then also when you want to have that white glove service, the human interaction, it's not just having human do interactions for human purposes. It's like bringing extra value. Mm-hmm. Think about like your experience when you go to McDonald's versus Chick-fil-A. Both are having humans take your orders, but one's a lot more pleasant experience because of the training they put behind the people and the welcoming, all those extra little touches. And so don't just have your people talk to carriers just to get the load and be done, but it's like, how do you elevate that experience?
Yeah, dude, I look at it like this. My operation, we're a hospitality company that just happens to move truckloads. Like legitimately, man, we're out there trying to add as much value as we possibly can out there to the market. But like all my guests, you guys, Dan has a day job and he's got stuff to get to today. So Dan, I appreciate you taking the time to chop it up with me. How does anybody reach out to you guys to find out more about what you got going on?
Shoot me a message on LinkedIn or shoot me an email, danh@tabbyconnect.com.
Perfect. Dan, thank you so much for the time today. As always, if you guys got value in what you heard, subscribe to the show, you guys. And if you're feeling ambitious after this one, rank the show on iTunes and Spotify, because if you see value, your network's going to see value as well. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys, and we'll be talking to you soon.